2, 1. What's up, guys? Simon here. I want to welcome you to the Amino Biohacks Podcast. Today, I am joined by my good friend, Matt Baker. Thanks for coming on, Matt.
No, absolutely no worries at all. No, it's good to be good to chat.
Matt's been a trainer for how long now?
8 years, 9 years.
Okay, fine. So you've got a wealth of experience from kind of in practice working with clients, customers, and basically helping people to evolve their health and physique. So Matt, do you want to give the guys a bit of a rundown and what got you into training in the first place?
Yeah, so I used to play rugby, did the England sort of youth stuff, going through the age groups, and was at Sale Sharks. And then actually, like, by the England age group stuff, we were approached by Loughborough University. I always wanted to go to university. I was always going to go to uni, but Loughborough seemed like the perfect place. So kind of went there with a mind to play rugby, continue playing rugby while getting my education, and then to sort of just team both sides of the university life and the sort of the elite sport aspect that I was trying to get. But unfortunately, injury occurred, as it kind of does to a lot of people, and then had to start focusing more on studies, really, and then kind of led in the studies of studying sports science at Loughborough, kind of led into sort of health and fitness way, really.
Okay, awesome. And so after the kind of university phase, obviously big passion for sport training. Would you say a lot of that was driven by your own, like what ended up getting you into training was like basically your thirst and need for wanting to understand more about the body and how to optimize your own physique, or what was it?
Yeah, so basically it was actually started quite early. At the age of 13, I used to be grossly overweight as a child, and I come from quite a large family, we'll say. My father unfortunately passed because he was grossly overweight. So I was, at the age of 13, I was held back from a county rugby team because I wasn't fit, strong enough. I was overweight. So it was kind of a clicking moment. It's quite a young age, to be fair, that I realised that if there's something within my control that's holding me back, it's not an excuse. It's
quite interesting, isn't it, how certain attributes that we gain as adults have been driven from kind of things that we've suffered as with children, I guess. And it's kind of like,
yeah. It was really, like, honestly, like you said, like, you're overweight. Used to play prop forward, which, you don't get this aspect of how small or large I am here, but I'm quite small. I was quite big as a child, but played prop forward, and he said, you're not fit or fast enough or strong enough. And I said, well, these are all factors that I can control. So I went about educating myself, even at that quite young age, probably doing all the wrong things. But at that young age, just like hard work, graft. And then the year later, ended up captaining county all the way through until the sort of England age groups.
Yeah, and I guess you have to, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Obviously, the desire was there. You want to start. And obviously, you make lots of mistakes. And part of that experiential process, I guess, is like learning on the job, isn't it? Like the drive's there, but obviously you need pointing in the right direction. I guess that's where the education piece comes in as you start to get older, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I was at university studying, like, I was fit. I could finish a bleep test, like no dramas. Like, that's one thing that I was in control of. My fitness is basically just effort, isn't it? It's just like hard work. The harder you work, the better you are at it. It's just pain tolerance, which fortunately I'm all right with. But even at university, like, I was, there was, especially in my first year, I looked like a typical university student, but I was fairly fit. But I was eating the packs of tortellini and pasta, and genetic. I'm not really fortunate in terms of the way I can process high glycemic carbs and things, and I was overweight, but I was fit. I was fit and fat. But so then, like, even the university process and the education, and then it was more research doing myself and trial and error with myself that these foods or this way of training really benefits me, or this way doesn't. Yeah.
Brilliant. So let's delve into the actual training stuff that you do now. So, like, what's your general training philosophy with clients? Like, what do you see? Let's start with, like, so what are the archetypes that you get? What type of clients do you get in?
I am fortunate to work with a range. I work with sort of from athletes wanting to better performance, like footballers off season, that they do want to get lean. Everybody wants to get lean. That's it. Everybody wants to get lean.
High percentage.
It's only rare. Yeah, high percentage of people. He's quite, so yeah, footballers working to get lean off season, then then coming to me, they go, oh, actually, S&C and strength conditioning stuff that you do, oh, hey, maybe this will benefit me during the season and things like that. So there's one way of doing it working like that. Then you get a lot of sort of people that have found wealth but lost health. That's a lot of it. So these people that are, cash rich, time poor, my sort of philosophy is I need to make sure, because I spent a lot of energy in the wrong areas in trying to improve my health and my fitness and my wellness. It's like everything, I like to be as efficient as possible. So if there's a quickest route from A to B, that's my job to get people from there to there. I will give you the tools to get from A to B, but then the effort is right down to that person. There's ways of tapping into getting those, getting people to become more motivated or more driven. But my job is to maximize effort in terms of, I have this wheel that I look at. It's like lifestyle factors, including sleep and alcohol consumption and nutrition, exercise and supplementation. They're kind of like the key areas that I look for when addressing the key demographic of middle-aged guys, business owners looking to get the waistline down a little bit. Same with females as well, business professionals, business owners, just looking to, around, it's always busier in summer, our jobs tend to be, but I'm quite fortunate. I'm pretty consistent all the way through my year.
That's so if I've understood what you said correctly, it's quite a really interesting point, is that I've seen this a lot as well in my kind of background and the training that I've done with people, is that being effective and being efficient with energy, time, is actually probably more crucial than perfectionism. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the best design program and you've thought about absolutely everything, if you've worked out fucking the weight of your food and everything, all that can be pushed by the wayside by just working hard. I think is the most important. There's a few factors and a few stages that I'll go through with people in terms of exercise and nutrition. But the first thing you've got to get, if a person doesn't work hard, whether that's physically or, during the session or within their own things, or doesn't work hard in terms of commitment with nutrition, there's no point in having the best design program if you're not going to do it. It's just a lot of words on a piece of paper.
Interesting. That's really helpful. I think some of the guys will find that quite, takes, like you said, it's kind of like helps them. It's kind of like the program design, understanding. It's kind of understanding the kind of setup around the program. It's not just about the program itself type of idea.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Because people will fall off, like the human. Like, it's only rarely, and rarely it's realistic. It's great when you get a robot that comes and say, right, what weight? I had some guy asking me, what weight should his onions be, cooked or uncooked? I was like, well, you're perfect, and he got ridiculous results. He saw me stop 6 times a week, travelled like 150 miles to come and see me 6 times a week. It was ridiculous. But he would weigh his food, and he got the brilliant results. No idea what he's doing now. But he got great results because he was a robot. But 99% of people aren't like that. So consistency. One thing that I even struggled with a couple of years ago was the consistency. What I would do with nutrition is I'd be so strict during the week. I'd be like immaculate, like not one bit of food that sort of wasn't on a program designed for myself wouldn't pass my lips, like nothing at all. And then at the weekend, I'd absolutely blow it. And that's the thing that I find with all my clients. Like, they do it. Yeah. Like, they come on Saturday, they'll save maybe 500 calories. Yeah, 500 calories a day. So, over 6 days, 3,000 calories. And then they overeat by 3,500 calories at the weekend. It's like, on the Sunday. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So it's just tapping into people and making sure that the effort is number one. That's everything. An average rugby player will be good if they put loads of effort in, if they're fit. But say with the clients, effort is the biggest thing, I think.
Really good. I'm just making some notes here. So let's go into like a scenario. So say let's talk about motivation, because that was another point that you made there as well. So you've got somebody who is really struggling with motivation, struggling to put the effort in. Like, then what do you do? What would you do they still want to come and train and they've still got particular goals, say? What would be your workaround? Like, what would you do to inspire?
Public humiliation. No, I'm joking. It wouldn't. It depends. Like, yeah, you've got to tap in. Like, so I have a philosophy is with me, and I've been quite wrongly. Like, I've never worried about effort because I've always tried the hardest. Like, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm going to do it, I will run until I'm sick. Effort is not something that I struggle with. and pain tolerance isn't something I struggle with. I think that comes from a rugby background. Like, you get used to being hurt and being physically uncomfortable. But then for me, in my head, if I'm during a session and I'm physically uncomfortable, I know that I'm going to adapt. That's going to bring about physiological change that I want. But in terms of tapping into people's motivation, you've got to find out that if your reason why is strong enough, it doesn't matter how hard the task, you will get it done. I think that's one thing. It does take a bit of time to tap into people's reason why. Sometimes they won't have a reason why, or a real one that's really apparent to them. But in terms of motivation, there's loads of different factors that will go into it. But to brush on something obviously goal orientated, you've got to set goals, but it's got to be something that they need to achieve for them in terms of so with a client,
it's like attainable, making goals hard but attainable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't want to brush over the whole smart thing of when you go on a PT course. So yeah, they make a goal smart, if you are familiar with the acronym. But he has got to be achievable. But then it's got to be so far out. And if somebody's not, it's quite good when somebody's been there before. If they've been really lean before, or they've been physically where they want to before, you remind them of them. But then they think their limit is there, which is quite hard to tell people. No, actually, your limit is there. You can push yourself. If you ask somebody to put their hand up as high as you can, they'll do that. And then tell them to put it higher, they'll do that. So it's well, that wasn't your highest, was it?
Yeah.
So it's to find their limit.
Reserve type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They'll always do that, and it's human nature. You're always holding back slightly.
And I guess would you say your job as a coach is to bring that out of people? I guess that's the main one of the main things, to make people realise that it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I explain to everybody, your brain will give up way before your body will.
100%.
I have a scale, and it makes people scared. I always say you'll throw up, you'll pass out, and then you'll die. You unless you go through those two things, say, oh my God, my heart's beating out of my chest, I think I'm going to die. It's no, you will throw up first, you will then pass out, and then you will die. Death is way far off, so you're not pushing out. And what I'll do is I'll remind people actually quite often that I don't hate, it's not for me, so let me rephrase, it's not for me training with a client. Whether it's, if I'm doing this in S&C, I would never jump on a session with a client other than if I don't think they're working hard enough to show them what pain is. Because some people, the biggest thing that I say, people don't work hard enough. People underestimate how hard you have to work to bring about the adaptation that people always talk about. Oh, I want to get this, I want to achieve this in 12 weeks, or I want to do this. People underestimate how hard you have to work to get that.
I think that's quite interesting, actually, a point that we're making here, and even actually you touched on it about the rugby thing, is that do you think sport, whether people, if you look at the reason for why they're training, do you think sport, because it gives you a goal and it gives you something to aim at, it allows this idea of it being analgesic, that sport can help you kill pain because there is a big goal in mind? Would you agree with that? And so people that are training for without having that clear goal is quite important to help people, allow them to push themselves harder, is what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah. And it's that accountability, I think. That's why people obviously work with health and fitness professionals. The accountability in the sport aspect would be the day of the event, wouldn't it? It'd be, if you don't put the training in on the day of the event, you're accountable, and your motivation, like you said, your motivation is there then to show, well, if you've done the training, you'll be all right.
People don't like to lose, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got to realize this. Obviously, that's stereotypical to need to avoid failure and need to achieve. It's tapping into what it's finding out. And we're not all the same. We're all motivated by different things, but it's 100%. The accountability, I think, with the with this sport environment especially in the team environment. You're not just letting, especially with rugby, and you and I can speak about rugby, is you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting your mates down. If you miss a throw of a line out, if you miss a kick, if something doesn't go to hand, it's your job and you're letting everybody else down. So for me, that'd be a bigger motivation for me, is to let other people down as well. I don't want that in the sports environment. But in terms of personally post sport now, to motivate me, and then what I do is I try and draw some parallels with clients, and not everybody's the same as cut from the same cloth. But for me, the motivation is right. I'm not at my best. What is my best? I'd rather be at my best than not, because mediocrity isn't exactly what I want for me and my life. And it's okay. Like some people are happy with a 25% body fat. As long as, you know, they're happy. They don't want to be as lean as they can be. They don't want to be as fast as they can be. They don't want to be as strong as they can be. And that's okay. And that's all right. And that's one thing that I've had to learn during my sort of education, is that not everybody is a robot. Do this until you're sick on a Monday. Do this until you're sick. You know what I mean? It's not everybody's a robot. And it's learning. You and I spoke about this in the past. Is learning moderation. Like that's a big thing that I've had to learn for my clients, to realize that not everybody is sort of as robotic or as bloody minded as I can be sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's a really key point, actually, that when anybody's starting out on an exercise program, like the first question should be like finding out what it is that you actually want, because not everybody wants the same thing. And it sounds kind of a bit silly and a bit simple but actually be surprised how many people just jump into a training program and not actually, it's like setting expectations, isn't it? Expectation is so important to understand. Not only like you're trying to pull that information out of them to find out what it is that they want, because sometimes people don't even know what they want, I guess.
No, they don't know.
So asking the right, like your job, I guess, is to ask the right questions. So I guess our advice to everybody is to be clear in your mind about how much effort you're willing to put in and how far you're willing to take it. And then I guess the coach, your job is then to tell them what they can expect to get with.
Yeah, and get them there. That's the thing. It is the first thing that you have. You've got to, I think if you ask why in the right manner 3 times, you'll get the answer to every question. So you just got to ask why, you know. You literally don't drip feed any information to them. Don't ask loaded questions. Don't ask closed questions. Just leave it as open as you possibly can until you as a coach kind of realize, okay, actually, I think I know what this person's driving at, and then I'll ask them a bit deeper. Well, that reason why, find out the reason why. Like you said, some people can't answer it. They'll sit there and they'll be really uncomfortable, and then they'll come up with an answer. They'll go, actually, it's because last year at this party, my sister-in-law called me fat. Yeah. So I want to look good in the dress because I want to shove it in the face. And they feel something. I've had somebody mention that, and it's like, well, don't be embarrassed to say that. If that's your motivation, then fair enough. If that gets you where you need to be, then fair enough. But yeah, you've got to find out that first before you start anything.
It's really interesting, isn't it? It shows you how powerful the mind is, and like how much driven by impulse, but then actually there's more underlying things rather than just going to the gym and wanting to get in shape. There's normally lots more like layers that you have to peel back of the human psyche, like the onion. You peel back the layers, and then you find the core reason why. And that's really
it is.
So
let's that image that you. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No. Go on.
It's that image that is basically typical of what people think I do and what I actually do. And I think for a PT, is what people think I do is stretch attractive middle-aged women. And actually what I do is the job of psychiatrist quite often.
Basically, 100%. Strength of mind, strength of body type of thing, right? So let's go into another scenario. So that's like motivation. So let's go into another scenario. Let's go somebody who wants to, you've got someone who's super motivated, but they haven't got any background education on wanting to get lean. What would be your plan of action? They're super motivated. How would you attack it?
So come to me, like I said, in that same situation, I'll explain. So I find out the reason why. They know what they're doing, so I know that, they know that, so we can refer back to that if you ever lose it. But then I go, right, so there's obviously a plan in place. There's some areas that I would cover. First of all, nutrition is my sort of, you can't out-train, it's so cliche, but you can't out-train a poor diet. So there's actually, the way that I work my nutrition plan is I'll always do a blood test with people. I'll always do a food intolerance test, and always do like a gut health test that involves sort of digestive enzymes. And I basically 99 out of 100 people will need to take some sort of a digestive enzyme, and some sort of probiotic, because the gut is so important. It's the first thing I always look at with anybody. It's the health of the gut. I could spend an hour and a half talking to you about that, but we won't. But going to nutrition, there's 3. I tend to say, right, well, unless you control your nutrition, there is no point training really hard. And I get it in as a general rule of thumb. This really hits people, is when you say to eat a Mars bar, it might take 30 seconds. Like, to get rid of it is a heck of a lot longer than that. So you got to control nutrition. So what I'll do is I'll listen, because there's a sliding scale of me wanting people to be robots, weighing their onions, cooked and uncooked, and then people just do whatever they want. And wherever they sit on that continuum, I'll say, right, well, then at that point, I will say, you can either achieve this or this. Like genetically, like I'm never, ever going to have the smash type of Mo Farah. Like I'm not going to be lean. I'm not going to look like a rock star ever wearing skinny jeans. And it's just not with them. I sit on a scale, and at my movement of that scale is here or there. And same with people's goals, like your commitment level is here, your sliding scale, your results are from here to here. It's in this sort of area of capability of what you can. This is the upper limit you can achieve, and this is the lower limit that I think you can achieve. So I'd always look at nutrition, and the 3 doors I would walk through with the nutrition would consist of, number 1 is, if you're going to, this is somebody that wants to get lean, calories in, calories out. Like,
tick the
calories in, calories out, that's it. Yeah, that's it. You've got to be that. So up, and only when you are through door 1 can you move to door 2 and then door number 3. So people say, oh yeah, well, I've been eating all the right things. I go, right, well, how much of the right things? Let me be the judge of if they are the right
4,000 calories of tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly it. So the calories in, calories out. That's good. And within that, then you wrap the bubble of exercise as well when you talk about that. But the second door I will always tell the clients to walk to, and myself as well. Like I've done this before. Is second door is where those calories come from. Like so, 1,000 calories from, protein and fat is delivered in a very different manner to 1,000 calories from simple carbohydrate. So it's where the calories come from. And then the third door that I will always get people to walk through in terms of nutrition is the timing of those calories. So we'd work around, so I'd structure high calorific meals post workout, and so try certain different nutritional strategies, especially if somebody's been doing this for a while, they've developed some sort of nutritional fatigue, maybe introduce a different method, maybe like intermittent fasting or something like that. It is so specific to each person, not in terms of just physiologically, but mentally as well, like so different.
So if we just run that back, so that's really helpful. It's really good. I'm sure that's going to help some people out. So if we run that back, so first thing, you'd obviously run some sort of test, some sort of digestive test.
So I'll do, the first one would be a food panel test, effectively.
That would then check obviously how the digestive tract is working, and how.
So that'd be foods that you should have in the body. I mean, everybody, I think on the scale, everybody should be avoiding processed food, gluten, wheat, and even dairy as well. Some people can tolerate it better than others, but yeah, I'll do that first, and then I'll do a digestive tract test. Yeah. I'm terrible.
So you do the testing, and then, for example, for somebody who wants to lose body fat, you'd then go into nutrition being the first pillar, and that's broken down into 3 elements, which is calories in, calories out. What do those calories comprise of? Second, and then when do you consume those calories in terms of timing? And that would be your gate pathway for someone to.
Get leaner, and it's not only, you got to look at these calories in, calories out. It's not just daily, it's not just weekly, it's monthly, it's yearly. So if you, like I mentioned before, you save your calories during the week and then binge at the weekend, Monday square one. So
the next pillar that goes alongside that is nutrition, and then it's nutrition over time, and I guess the next word is consistency that comes in there.
That's it. Well, water will erode rock over enough time. It's just everything is consistency. And then
just on that, how would you help someone stay consistent? Like, say you get someone who would then be great for the first month while motivation's still high, but then they fall off the wagon after 5 weeks. What would be your plan of attack there?
It would be to change something. You can't consistently lose body fat for 4 weeks, and then the next 4 weeks, and the next 4 weeks. I'd give somebody some sort of a lay period, maybe.
Like stop fatigue type of thing,
exactly, because not everybody's as motivated. I would, exactly. Success is never. Exactly. Success is never linear, is it? It's never ever linear. So it's let somebody sort of recharge the battery, so to speak. I'd change something. Just change. The thing is, if you do the same thing, expect the same result. That's exactly, to do the same thing and expect a different result is a definition of insanity. So in terms of somebody that would, that's not been doing very well, that's in a place that they don't want to be. That's basically what clients come to us, because they are in a place where they don't want to be. I would get them to change things. So drive to work a different way, do something else, take a different, take food for you. And if you eat out, oh yeah, you can eat something healthy. No, take your food with you, or vice versa. If you're taking something with you and it's not very healthy, go out and eat something. Just change things, change as much things as you need to bring about that positive, and hope it's with the right direction from us. It's a positive change.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Change, I think, and change can be good. Like change can be bad. You can introduce some, during lockdown, been at home, the wine rack, you're looking at the wine rack, having a glass of wine on a Thursday, so
Easily done, right? Easily done.
Very easily done. And we've got to be completely honest. And I'm quite fortunate that I've been in the position where I've not been happy physically. I've been unfit. I've been overweight. Like even a couple of years ago, like personal circumstance led me to being in a position that I wasn't very happy. And I was grossly overweight. I was 92 kilos and I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
Just 92 kilos, and then
BMI of like 37 or something.
Oh, it's insane, like insane. And yes, I just it's just all mass,
Yeah,
just all muscle mass. But then I got down to dropped to 78 kilos, and my body fat was like 4.2, which is because I changed things. I moved my environment, I changed my training habits, I followed the 3 principles that I've been telling people, and it is fairly simple when you are motivated.
100%. Right, that's awesome. There's some really great points in there. So let's go into just another example. So, for example, if you want somebody came to you and they were like, I want to build muscle, I want to be as big as possible. What would you like? Say, okay, here we go. So let's say but they're also young. So say, like, because I hear that from a lot of our customers. You get a lot of 17, 18-year-olds, 16, 17, 18-year-olds now, much more body conscious, and they all want to be bigger. Because they've had less time on this planet and they've had just less calories going in. So what would you say to those guys at that age?
Yeah, well, looking back and trying to tell myself patience, like it doesn't work. Patience, if you ask for patience, you're not giving it. You're given the opportunity to practice patience. It's these guys. I understand, like. For me, I have to I've never wanted to be bigger. I've always wanted to be leaner. So it's not something that I've ever struggled with, really. But yes, some of these guys, I hear it a lot. Like, oh yeah, I just want to get big. And these guys, they just want to bench. They just want to arm curl. You have to go about explaining. So I teach a person to fish. You explain the science. You explain the physiology behind it. Okay, so what are you looking to achieve? You want to get bigger, right? You grow more crossbreeders. There's no such thing as hyperplasia. It's hypertrophy. The cells you've got. I want to put muscle on, or I want to turn this fat into muscle. The amount of times I've heard that. I said,
scientific dogma, bro science.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly that. No, it's to go about educating and say, right, well, what you're looking to do is this. So I have a philosophy in which if they come to me, I want to get bigger. I go, right, well, if I just said, do this, eat this, get bigger. What I'm trying to do with my clients is educate them and say, right, well, if you do this and you do this, this will happen. And then I go one step further and I say, well, if you do this and you do this, this will happen because this will happen. So I always try to explain the theory behind it, so you can kind of take it in your own hands, and then you are the master of your own destiny. You're invested in why. You're invested why you are doing something.
100%.
Come back to that motivation again. So you're always knowing, right? So if I know that these guys want to lift big weights, so getting a young guy to go into a hypertrophy phase, he's going to half the weights he's lifting. He's going to lift a lot lighter, but you're going, actually, well, the majority of hypertrophy occurs in the eccentric phase of a movement. So get rid of the weights, control it down. But we're trying to get a guy wearing a string vest, benching half what he's making bench, but he's getting bigger. He's just getting into that second, explaining why. But if you just told him, lift less, control it more, or extend the time under tension, he's going to go, no, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But you're explaining why to these young guys, right, if you do this, this will happen because of this, and then they're hopefully more invested in the process. But yeah, just control. Then it's just controlling like the simple pillars. Lifestyle factors: don't go out on the weekend drinking alcohol. Make sure you're sleeping enough. All that sort of thing. The simple things. Exercise. Make sure you've got a plan, but obviously make sure you've got a plan, but you're sticking to it. Consistency. And then third is controlling nutrition. Like getting young guys to eat nutritious food, nutrient dense food is quite hard. I think with male clients, young male clients, I think it's quite difficult to get them to have the plethora of phytonutrients and vitamins and minerals that they need to fully choose.
They're not really considering that at that age, are they?
No, they just want a tub of protein.
Yeah, and they just want to just smash through that basically.
Yeah.
But I guess it comes down to, this is quite a common thing, is that people want the easy fix. And I think some of your job, is that you're basically trying to, like you said at the start, like make the most efficient route possible to get to the goal, while also recognizing that you probably can tell the person the optimal way to be, but actually in the real world, it's not gonna. No plan sees. No plan sees the engagement with the enemy type of thing. That you have the best plan in the world, but it probably is going to fall to bits when you start actioning on it. So
exactly, yeah, that's exactly it. It's my job. My job has always been to maximize effort. Because I'm the worst for driving the wrong way. I'm like, I've gone the completely opposite way that I wanted to, and that was the most efficient way. I
think efficiency is a really, really key point. It's kind of like a topic that seems to be coming out of our conversation. So let's go into some, so if you had, say our listeners, if you had like 3 key things to optimize health for someone. So we've done leaner, we've done bigger. So if somebody wanted to come in and optimize their health, not too fussed about how their body looks or whatever, but they just want to live, and they want to feel good. What type of stuff would you be advised? Like, what kind of 3 key things would you say to take away?
It would be, so my sort of theory is, I do this with all my clients, and I've intentionally not worked with people because I said, well, what you want to achieve isn't what I want to be involved with. Like, I've had young guys who want to get bigger, and they said, right, well, what, so performance enhancing drugs can I take? And I said, well, actually, I would advise against you do this. I understand your reasons why you want to do that, because I know your motivation, I know your goal, but I'm not going to be a part of it. And I've also had somebody that wanted to be, she had body image issues, and she wanted to be way too light for her. Yeah. She said, I just want to be as light as possible.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't think that's the right thing. And we had a dialogue over a couple of weeks, and I said, well, I don't think I'm the person, because I don't want you. And as a personal trainer, as a health consultant, my clients are my walking billboards. Like, I want people to be healthy, and then this is what I'm going to get into, is be healthy and you look good as a side effect.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The human body, if you are healthy, you will look good, your skin will be better, you will be fairly lean to a certain extent. But you be healthy and look there as a side effect. But in terms of being healthy, if we go back to the same, they're all the same pillars that I would use for somebody that wants to get leaner, also get bigger or get fitter or stronger, faster. You have to look at lifestyle factors. That would be the big one. Is sleep. Sleep is so important, and I'm guilty because we're not perfect. Health professionals, we're not perfect at all. Sleep is the biggest thing that I need to work on for myself. And then there's other lifestyle factors, alcohol consumption, stress management. Do you get enough downtime? Do you meditate? Do you do restorative practices like yoga and Pilates and things like that? Mobility. But then, so there's the lifestyle factors. Then I've got my exercise, which is you have to. There is absolutely the minuscule percentage of physiological conditions or medical conditions that are worsened by some sort of physical activity. Like, exercise is good for 99.99% of health.
Permanent painkiller, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there's controlled nutrition. Now, controlled nutrition doesn't mean if you want to get lean, you have to be in calorie deficit. You can't be in a calorie deficit all your life, you'll die. Okay. So to be healthy is to go through the same pillars of calories in, calories out. If you want to maintain, if you're in a state of homeostasis, you want to be level, you want to be healthy, make sure that those calories are not excess either way.
Yep.
Not too high or not too low. Yep. And where those calories come from. Now, this is where it gets probably the most important, is the second factor, is where those calories come from. If you want to be healthy, you want to eat and you want to fuel yourself with nutrient-dense food. It's just nutrition. Food is thy medicine. It really is.
Love that.
Yeah. It literally is like, I'm quite anti-prescription medication. It has a time and a place, it really does. But the amount of people that I've had that take lansoprazole or omeprazole or these digestive enzymes these gastrointestinal medications.
Proton
because they have gastric problems.
Yep.
But what you'll find is that the omeprazole would suppress the stomach acid, yes, but it doesn't suppress the gastrin that makes you produce stomach acid. So what you do is when you stop taking the medicine, you got all this gastrin, and whack, you get a massive bump of stomach acid, so it's worse. So obviously the drug companies, not to get into conspiracy, but drug companies aren't stupid, because you become reliant on that medicine. And to get people, I cannot tell people, because I'm not a licensed doctor, I cannot tell people to stop taking their medication. But I've helped people get to wean off their medication if they want to
solve the underlying problem, and
that is totally it.
Don't need the band-aid anymore, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Root cause. It was my father that told me prevention is better than cure. 9 times out of 10 it's cheaper, and it might not be quicker, but it's far better the way of addressing an issue. So be healthy, lifestyle factors, exercise, and then nutrition in a good manner. And that's different for different people. That will come back. You tie into mental health as well. Like if somebody's on a completely controlled diet, they feel like there's no joy. People love food. I love food. They don't get joy in food, then that can affect the mental state. So it's looking at this whole wheel of health and wellness. And another one of that is supplementation as well. Because nutrition is so important, but unfortunately, the food that we eat, you'd have to grow all your own food and eat, elk and eat, wild salmon and all these different things, and it's just not achievable to eat all the things that you need to without supplementing. Whether that's to better performance, like something like amino water that's really good. Or vitamins and minerals and things. There's a core group of vitamins and minerals and supplements that I will tell all my clients that they should be using, because if not, they're not being the most efficient.
Awesome. So we're probably going to look to wrap up there. We've kind of been through each of our demographics, bigger, leaner, health. Maybe just a quick one on performance, just before we finish off. So guys, you mentioned about the footballers, those guys that come in. What type of stuff do they want to achieve? Like, what do you see with them? What would you advise to somebody?
Obviously, depending on level, I've seen a horrific standard of, obviously I'm going to say but some of the advice at what you would call elite level has been I don't know. It's obviously not ill-intended. It might just be ill-informed, like to a certain degree. You get the but so these guys. I'll be completely honest. It's footballers that go to Vegas in the summer for the pool parties. You want to get lean, so it's like that's what it is. And rugby players as well. But in terms of performance, we do have people that I work with young athletes as well. They want the best performance. There's a girl I work with who's a swimmer for Great Britain. She wanted to better her performance, like land-based training, that she wasn't really getting the support at her level. So then it's taken into account, like you have to be. Look, it's more challenging for me because you have to talk about cycling and programs and events and getting people to understand that one thing that is managing expectation, like we mentioned before, is saying, right, well, if you're getting leaner, you're not going to be performing at your best. Like so physical optimum performance cannot coexist with calorie deficit. It's getting people to and get these guys that to realize that, well, if you just want to get shredded, you're not doing it during the season, isn't it? Really? It's going to hinder performance and things.
The strategy and helping them realize that they're probably a bit more. The training cycle's broken up into different phases, isn't it? And
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's more challenging for us, which is so we can program who. And the good things with athletes is they'll probably stick to it. Like if you're an athlete, because only very rarely will you get top athletes that don't have to work that hard.
Yeah.
Skill-based sports obviously a little bit better, but athletes are pretty good because they know that they have to work hard in whatever they're doing to get to that elite level. So in terms of they're really good to work with. I think they're really coherent to your ideas, and they're all really driven in what you give them. But yeah, in terms of the footballers want to get lean and performance as well, it's quite good because I think that the athletes will really buy into why more. If you explain something like you're doing this because of this, and it's going to cause this adaptation, they'll buy into it a bit more.
Yeah, nice, awesome. So if anybody wants to contact you and find out any more information about the stuff that you've spoken about today, where can people get hold of you?
You can email me, I guess, or you can take a look at putting some content like similar stuff to this on website. So it's vitajab.co.uk. Basically, we're launching a vitamin B12 supplementation by intramuscular injection in pharmacy. So like you would get your flu jab in a pharmacy, you now work myself and my business partner, who's a pharmacist by trade, and we've got a doctor on board, prescribing nurse. We're the only people that can remotely prescribe vitamin B12 in injectable form online. So what you do is you go to the website, you fill in a medical screening questionnaire that's all insured by the NPA, everybody needs to be. You would then be granted a code, and you could go to your local participating pharmacy and have a vitamin B12 injection, which is one of the things that I would recommend to all my clients as well.
Nice. So, nice. So we'll leave a link for that just below in the comment section, for anybody who wants to read more about. Was it VitJab? Can you say it again?
Vitajab, Vitajab, vitajab.co.uk.
So to wrap up, anybody got any comments or questions, leave them in the question or comment section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for when we bring out any new cool content. I'm sure we'll have Matt back on at some point in the future. We're probably going to be talking about rugby and his progression for any young rugby players and any of the
regression.
and any of the pitfalls to not fall into. So Matt, I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Speak to you again soon. Cheers, buddy.
Good. Thanks, bye.